It's week 9 of the Missouri State High School football season already. That happened quick. And the Wildcats are gearing up for another big one tonight when they host the Buffalo Bison at Randy Marr Field for the regular season home finale. Welcome to this week's Coaches Show. I'm Adam Howe alongside Wildcats head coach Ryan Boyer.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, Coach, before we get to that upcoming game against Buffalo, we're going to go back and look at a pretty big win from last Friday night, that being a 30-29 road win, a real squeaker, moves Warsaw to 7-1, and we're gonna go through that one here and kind of stop me, chime in when you want to here, but in that one, I mean, it provided everything you wanted.
Yeah. For a fan.
For a fan maybe, not for a coach so much, right? But probably billed as a big offensive show. Because that's media like to dub those things early, right?
Oh, yeah.
But probably dubbed as a big offensive type show. And then what happened in that first half, probably not what folks expected to see.
Yeah, it's one I visited with Shelby afterwards and told even our staff, said, that's the first time we've gotten together and somebody hasn't scored over 50 points,
right.
which is fine, but
true.
Just different.
Yeah, Coach Miller had no problem with that.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
But anyway, first half, a real tight one. I think it was 7-6 at halftime in favor of the Tigers. Wildcats, or actually Skyline got on the board first, 8:01 in the first. They put a little drive together, used a couple passes to move downfield, and they cap it with a 2-yard touchdown run. They go up 7-0. And then Wildcats, they put together a drive. I believe it was the ensuing drive because it happened less than a minute later, I think.
Yeah.
And then that one was capped when Cam Severs took a toss from Brady around the left side, and he dove in from 5 yards out. Of course, we missed the PAT, but that was the only scoring going on there in the first half. So tell us kind of, what was the battle there?
Yeah, as one, we came out and, like I said, we knew with it being a rivalry game, this is going to be physical and hard-hitting, and it was. And, we were able to get a first down our first series, but had to punt the ball away. They did a good job driving down. And then to that, then we just kind of traded back and forth. They were driving. We get an interception, then we're driving. They get an interception.
It felt like being there. It felt like a heavyweight fight. It was just who was going to land the first punch. I just felt myself going kapow, kapow the whole time.
Yeah. And to that, it's one you look back and just a lot of playmakers on both sides on the field, and so I understand exactly what you're saying. You just kind of wait to see, all right, who's going to break one here,
right.
And so with that, we were very comfortable where we were at. There's obviously things that we talked about at halftime on getting cleaned up, but in terms of what we were able to do, what we saw in the first half, and then we knew we were getting the ball coming out, so. To that, we were more than ready and happy with where we were.
Right. And, of course, those 2 interceptions you talked about, Severs came up with one. I think they had drove down to around the 35, 40-yard line, went for one, and then Severs picked him off in the end zone, raced it back. I believe he came back out all to 40, 45, and then, of course, he got hit late out of bounds.
Yep.
Moves the ball over into Skyline territory, so that set us up there before half. We drive down. Brady floats one into the end zone that gets picked off too. So that ended all the threats in that first half. So Skyline takes a 7-6 lead in at halftime. If you're a Wildcat fan, we've watched adjustments all year long, and we probably felt good.
Yeah.
We're down 7-6, but we feel good with our staff that they're going to make these adjustments needed that are going to get things going in that second half, and we saw just that because we more than made up for the offense that we missed in the first half.
Yeah, and the kids, I mean, they took a deep breath. We talked a little bit, and I always tell people we're not making huge adjustments there at half. It's just kind of getting everybody on the same page, reiterating some things, and then, like I said, tweaking a few things. And so, again, can't compliment our kids enough about just being able to communicate those and just coming back out and executing in the second half.
And part of coaching is you can see everything you can on video or standing up in the box or stuff like that or from the sideline. But the bottom line is you guys can see it all day long, but they still have to go out to execute it.
100%, yeah.
So, but anyway, the Wildcats come back out. They get the opening kickoff, and at 9:47, they go down and score on a 2-yard touchdown run by Brady. Then he runs in a 2-point conversion, I believe, also put the Wildcats up 14-7. So after that one, the Skyline Tigers take it. I think there was a couple possessions flip-flop there in the third quarter, but then Skyline scores later in the third at 2:57 that ties it up at 14-14. But that wasn't it. Yeah. So still, they scored at 2:57. Wildcats actually break one. Brady does. And again, we talk about Brady, and it's not a matter of if, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of, you might have to say it for me. So
it's not if, it's when.
It's not if, it's when. But anyway, we come out. Brady gets the ball to midfield, or the offense does. Brady breaks one for 50 yards. That really, we felt at that time maybe is where we start pulling away.
Yeah. And, we reflected back with the kids on just how that game went, and you have opportunities there to, like I said, kind of pull away. Right there before half. If you score before half and then you get the ball coming out of half, there's an opportunity. But and then right there, we made some adjustments. We were able to run off the weak side, do some things there, and just a great job on the execution up front, and Brady just breaking those. But right there, you're feeling pretty good, and and again, I mean it's just a back and forth, and that's where we just continue to tell the kids, keep a level head and continue to execute the plan.
Right. So a 50-yard touchdown run by Brady and a 2-point conversion cap by him also puts the Wildcats up 22-14. But 2 minutes later, they capitalized on a 30-yard touchdown pass to Max Williams. That was down the right side. They converted a 2-point conversion to him also. They tie things up 22-22. So now the swings are really going.
Yep.
Then their ensuing kickoff, we blunder that one.
Yep.
The return team does, and Skyline comes down and recovers. And there you could kind of feel the momentum shift.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, no.
Yep.
So we're not going to get into the specifics of that, but Skyline does go down. They score. They go up 29-22 with 11:33 left, so still plenty of time on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other possessions go back and forth again. Wildcats at 3:54, though. Nick Bagley, after running hard, and I swear we've talked about this, and maybe we will when we get to the stats, is that every time Nick ran, it was for only 2 or 3 yards, but it was a hard-earned 2 or 3 yards because that Tigers' defensive front has some size to it. So, but then Nick broke loose on a 9-yard touchdown run. We were super glad to see him get that after running it as hard as he had to all night. But then Slavens caps that with a 2-point conversion, 30-29. That's where it stands at 3:54. I believe they come down. They've actually got a chance, but we force a 4th down on them, hold them, and then we take over. 2 plays later, I think Brady slides for a 1st down. I called it the smartest play of his season.
Yeah.
Because he knew to slide down. He knew to stay in bounds. I watched it. I went emphatic on the air because Brady jumps up, turns around, and I don't know if it would have been just you or if it would have been the first coach he saw. He jumps into your arms. I'm not sure. You'll have to tell me if you were surprised at that one. But Brady jumps into your arm like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Everybody's cheering, and I watched the emotion of Brady, and something you love watching on a high school field, and no matter the sport, and Brady going crazy with emotion, and Wildcats pulled it off.
Yeah, it was a nail biter there at the end, and like I said, when they went ahead there, you feel the momentum. Still knew there's a lot of time left in the game, and then that next series, just kind of a weird series of events on down in distance and where we were at, and even though I can remember we're at midfield and we're facing a 4th and 8 there, and look up and it's 9 something left on the clock, and we discussed it there, and momentum being the big thing, and that's when we were able to play we practiced on and worked on for a little while now, and where Tatum basically throws to Brady.
Right. And what we saw there was Tatum and Brady both lined up in the backfield, and the ball being snapped directly to Tatum instead of Brady. Brady runs a route, and that play was on 4th down, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that was a 4th down play, and it tips off of about 2 Skyline hands. It tips off of Gage Whitaker's hands, who it was intended for, and Brady laying flat on his back.
Yep.
The ball just falls in his belly.
Yeah. One of those, I'd say it's probably the catch of the year. If we had a little better video footage of it, it would probably be shared out all over. But yeah, just some things like that where it's great to see you fall your way, and then defense just stepping up at the end, because again, we knew you want to score. You hate getting in those situations. People always say don't score too fast, but
right.
You got to score to get ahead, and so we're proud of them.
Good. So Wildcats move on with a 30-29 road win over the Skyline Tigers. They moved to 7-1, and going over a few of the stats because us media guys like these. Team rushing, I think they stayed right on course for their average, for the team average. So Wildcats rushed 51 times, a little bit more attempts than normal, but for 352 yards, which is right at their average, and 4 touchdowns on the ground. Team passing, we'll get to this one.
Yeah.
But team passing, the Wildcats finished 2 for 5 for 23 yards. Total of 375 total yards. Brady Slavens goes 25 rushes for 248. I think he stands at 1374 for the year. 2 touchdowns on the ground. Here's the kicker. He was 0 for 3 passing with no touchdowns, no yards. But he caught 2 balls for 23 yards.
Yep.
So he was our leading rusher, and he actually was our leading receiver.
Yeah, you don't see that every week.
And he's our quarterback.
Yeah.
So Gage Whitaker, though, had 11 rushes for 64 yards. And Gage's were, again, some hard yards, too. We talk about Gage and Nick a lot, maybe not enough, but those guys are the ones who are earning those yards inside and running between the tackles. And then Brady gets to exploit that stuff on the edge.
Yeah.
But Gage and Nick do a really good job, and they complement each other. And we've talked about that several times this year. But Gage 11 for 64. Nick ran 11 times for 21 yards, but did capitalize on a touchdown there late. He actually, before the Tate-Brady play in the backfield, Nick actually got a chance to throw the ball too.
Yep.
So we actually had 3 different guys throw the ball for us on Friday night. But Nick capitalized. He completed that one for a 7-yard play. And then Cam Severs ran 4 times for 19 yards. He got that first touchdown, got us on the board. And then Tatum, of course, completed the trick play, if you will, for 16 yards. So Wildcats now on the year 302 points, so they're over the 300 mark and averaging almost 38 points per game and a total of 376 total yards per game, rushing for over 2,600 yards on the season and nearing 800 yards through the air. So really that offense just doing what that offense does. It kind of, Cam Severs, we've talked about him, and I think him through 8 games has 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So typical of Cam, but the Wildcats just doing what the Wildcats do too, and that's keep the ball on the ground, pass when you need to, and that's a formula for success. And we've seen that lead to 7-1. So defensively, a pretty hard fought battle, and Gage Whitaker led that one with 6.5 tackles. Nick had 5.5. Grant Chapman actually chipped in with 4, and then Brady Slavens, Cam Severs both had 3, and Cam had that interception there at the end of the first half. And Wildcats defense just now giving up over 100 points for the year. So they're staying at 122, giving up 15 points per game and 240 yards. They are 6 sacks on the year, 7 fumble recoveries, and 7 interceptions. They moved to plus 11 on that turnover ratio, which is always a big one. So Wildcats win 30-29. They are 7-1. They are going to host the 5-3 Buffalo Bison. We'll talk about that one when we come back.
J&D Pharmacy Home Medical Supply is a locally owned and operated pharmacy. Our pharmacists and pharmacy technicians will provide you with the personal service you deserve. We are a full-service home medical equipment company and accept Medicare, Medicaid, and most commercial insurance. Stop by our pharmacy drive-up window, where we have 2 convenient lanes located in the rear of the building. We look forward to serving you now and in the future with all of your health needs. J&D Pharmacy Home Medical Supply. People helping people.
And welcome back to the Coaches Show. We're looking forward to a Week 9 matchup where the Wildcats host the Buffalo Bison. Wildcats at 7-1, Buffalo at 5-3. That one kicks off tonight at 7 p.m. at Randy Marr Field. It's the regular season home finale for the Wildcats. And we talked last week about if you hadn't been out to see them yet, travel down the Skyline. It's a short trip. This is even shorter. Come out to the high school. I know you have to go past the new bridge construction. But if you've not seen them, not been able to catch them, tonight's the night. So Wildcats facing the Buffalo Bison. The Buffalo Bison, looking at their season so far, they were on the road for Week 1, fell to Ava 28-14. At Forsyth, they win, go on a 4-game win streak over Forsyth, El Dorado, Pleasant Hill, and Sherwood. Then they dropped 2. One to Butler, understandably, 29-16. And then in week 7 to Fair Grove, a state-ranked Fair Grove team, 59-31. Got back in the win column last week with a 43-31 win over Springfield Central. So they stand at 5-3 for the year. Coach, talk a little bit about your comment, your initial thoughts on the Buffalo Bison.
Yeah, Buffalo, they're a very good team, and that's something we point out to our kids. That guys, their 3 losses are against 3 state-ranked opponents. We know the style of play, just them being in our conference, that they're going to be physical. Offensively, they kind of give you a different look than what you're used to seeing each week. Coach Phillips does a great job with that group, and again, we see these guys. Typically, we see them in the summer more through 7-on-7. This summer was a little different with our construction going on, but saw them at the Jamboree a little. Our JV actually, the way the schedule fell, played them I think week 5. So they've seen them also, but yeah, it's one, and with it being week 9, you want to finish strong, and and to our kids, I told them, guys, it's 3 years, and each year they've been able to beat us each year, but each year we've gotten a little closer. And
it was a really exciting one last year.
Yeah, it came down to the last series last year, and so to that, again, just I feel like we're confident in the game plan that we have in place, and we look forward to the matchup.
So Warsaw offense against that Bison defense. Watching the little film that I did, and I know you watch way more than I do, but it looks to me the Buffalo defense, they're athletic, they're physical. I think McDaniel, I think he's a linebacker, number 24.
Yep.
He actually leads the team in tackles, and then Horn, he's 45. Is he an end?
He'll play some backer. He's capable of being in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those two, really 2 guys that you have to account for. How's the Wildcat offense take advantage of the Buffalo defense?
Yeah, they do a good job of, their secondary is obviously their skill guys, but, those guys do a good job of keeping it all in front. And then D-line, just boxing you in and getting a good push. And then the linebackers, frees them up to run around and make some plays on the field. And, everything that we've seen, like I said, they do a good job trying to take away that big play and making you drive and forcing teams to potentially make mistakes and do some things there.
So looking at it, if I'm correct in saying they're athletic and they're physical, that's still a good matchup for the Wildcats because we are the same. We can be physical when you want to be physical, and we can get athletic if you want to get athletic. So Wildcat fans have hopefully something to look forward to there. Now, Warsaw's defense against the Buffalo offense has always been, that Buffalo offense has been kind of like, I guess, comparable to Skyline. It's been a high-flying, lots of points.
Yeah.
Of course, they graduate their senior quarterback last year.
Yeah.
He was an all-stater, but they replace him with a number 11, Schwanke, I believe, and then Portis returns from last year. That's number 8. And then Jamin Smith's little brother, 26 now.
Yep.
That's Jaron. He actually jumps in there, and he starts in the backfield too. So they're not really big, but what I saw was they're athletic. That line likes to pull a lot. I saw a lot of pulling on film. And but what they do is they make good use of their athletes, and they get the ball in their athletes' hands.
Yeah, kind of a 3-headed monster there. And, they're one set. It's hard to see from the side. But kind of it's almost a 2-quarterback set where they're always really truly behind the
And
center
it did
there.
take me a minute to go, who's the quarterback?
Yeah. And some other sets you can tell, but yeah, those guys do a good job. And like I said, it's a numbers game. They're pulling, and that's what I told our kids this week. Just like every week, you got to be disciplined because they're pulling so many guys, and there's times it may look like this in front of you.
Right.
So to be disciplined, stay at home, and just understand what they're trying to do, and that's tough. It's tough during the week to emulate that, but I feel like our kids have done a good job. And again, it's they have athletes on the field just like we do, and it should be a good game.
Right. So we'll all look forward to that one, and like we always do, I say looking ahead on our sheet here, but we're going to actually look back. We like to split this season into thirds. So Wildcats were 3-0 in that first third. They were 3-0 in the second third. So they started off undefeated with a 6-0 record. Then they fall to Butler, pick up a win last week against Skyline. So they stand at 7-1. In that final third, they're now 1-1 with 1 left to go. Obvious trip to districts next week. But what I'm curious of is, and I've had folks talk to me on the street about it, is What's the team's reaction been here? You know, how do they handle the success? Because I heard stories of last week or the week before of an underclassman asking, I believe it was the week before, Butler game, that somebody had asked you, I think, why are all these people here?
Yeah.
And just not used to seeing that crowd. So talk to us about what it's like on that Friday night in particular, when these guys are used to seeing a lot of aluminum over there behind them, but now they're seeing people in those stands.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and and can't thank the community enough, and hope they're able to come out tonight again, because it's such a neat environment for our kids, but even for our fans, and to that, yeah, our kids. We talked about going into that Butler game that, hey, don't let the game be bigger than you, but until you're out there and you're really in it and on the field.
And you can hear the roar from that sideline.
Yeah, and, that was one thing, especially to our younger ones. You had to remind them, hey, mate, game's on the field. Let's not be looking around too much. And but, when the crowd yells, and I say you feel it in your chest, that's a very neat deal. And even late in the game, when, like I said, you're driving and you're having to tell the crowd to be quiet, that's a good thing.
Because for years we've had to tell them to cheer.
Yes, yeah, used to, yeah. It was here nor there.
Yeah, now when you see players and ball boys and staff that are turning around telling the crowd to keep it down, we've got this.
Yeah.
A little bit different mentality there.
Exactly.
So, but nevertheless, that's a fun transition, one that you will always welcome.
Yes, without a doubt.
To try to teach someone how to handle success.
Without a doubt.
So we've talked a little bit about the district implications and what the last week and this week and even the prior week, the game against Butler. We've talked about the district implications that these last few games have had. And let's kind of break down that district. I want to go over where everything stands right now. And you kind of tell us how, when this shakes out, we're not asking for your predictions.
Right.
But again, how this does work. Because a lot of folks at home don't understand, well, how are they number 2? Or how are they down here? Or how come we would have to travel there? So right now in Class 2 District 5, that's Warsaw's district. So Butler leads that one. They're undefeated at 8-0, and they use a point system. Butler's at 48.85 points. Lafayette County actually slipped into the 2 spot ahead of the Wildcats. So they're at number 2. They're 7-1 at 45.72 points. So, but we are separated by less than 2 points from them at 7-1 at 43.23. Then things kind of separate themselves. Holden is at 4. They're 4-3 with 34.64 points. Versailles at 1-7 with 24.66. Knob Nostra at 2-6 at 22.34. And then Lone Jack with Kingsville, they bring up the rear there at 1-7 and 14.29 points. So a lot of people don't understand how that does work there at the top. So Butler, Lafayette County, Warsaw, how does that shake out? How do the points say? Now, I read a lot last night because I knew we were going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Not that I remember it. But kind of talk to us about how this shakes out and what this might look like for the next week or two.
Yeah, with that, Butler's going to hold that 1 seed. I don't see that changing, and that's, like I said, no disrespect to anybody's opponents. We won't know until after tonight in terms of whether we'll be at the 3 or Lafayette County, which is Higginsville, will be at the 3 or the 2. And so what that means, though, is next week, week 10, we're going to be at home. We're going to host. We'll either see Knob Nostra.
And that's because we're a top seed.
Yep, because we're a top seed. Your top, like I said, Butler getting the bye. They'll hold home field advantage all the way through at that number 1. Then your 2, 3, and 4 will get first round at home. And then it depends from there. And so we know for sure that week 1 in the playoffs, our first round of districts, we're going to be at home. We have to wait and see how things shake out for that second round. Whether we're going to be. I mean, obviously you have to take care of business at the first round, but then see where you're going to be. Whether you're going to be hosting or on the road.
Because then what it gets into is point differentials, and they look. I think they look at head-to-head, then point differentials, margin of victory, strengths of schedules, and all that kind of stuff is what figures in here. And we could probably ask you forever, and you're like, yeah, I'm not real sure how that part works.
That's formula. I say it's kind of like the old and when college used to have the BCS system. That's kind of how that goes. And I've tried to plug those numbers in before, and my mind don't even come close. So I don't know.
Right. So nevertheless, we do know that the Wildcats will host that District 1 or that first round of districts here next week. So another one to look forward to at home. So hopefully we'll be able to try to shake that out a little bit next week too, after everything is set, so that we can preview that first round of districts. All right. So take a look at the big Wildcats. We're going to take a look here at the little Wildcats now. We always like to give them their shouts. But those guys all preparing here for their playoffs. And that starts tomorrow. So at the youth level, the last week of the regular season, the first grade and second grade, they're playing in the Sedalia Youth Flag League. And after their first win, the first grade lost their game 26-18, so they're 1-4 or 5 or something like that. But we've seen them put some points up, so they're coming along in a blast to watch if you haven't seen them. I think they play a play-in game, and what's funny is I think the team waiting on them is the Warsaw second graders.
Our own,
So Warsaw first, Warsaw second could end up playing each other, which should be a blast for coaches in that one. So the second grade, they win 26-12. They finish undefeated, I think. They're the number 1 seed in that Sedalia Youth League. Third and fourth grade, they won a Slobberdacher. I stayed around. I watched it. They won a football game by a score of 2-0.
Again, something you don't see every day.
So 2-0. It was on a safety, obviously. They beat Windsor. They are 5-1, and they locked down the number 1 seed in their tournament. They will face the number 4 seed, the Lincoln Cardinals, on Saturday, and I believe that game's a 3:00 game. All of those ones being played at Osceola. Of course, the flag guys, everybody's playing Sedalia. The tackle guys are all playing down in Osceola. 5th and 6th grade, offense didn't quite get going through another shutout. Their 4th shutout in those 4 wins. They beat Crestridge 19-0. That one loss, though, knocking them down to the number 2 seed. They will also play the Lincoln Cardinals, who are the number 3. And then, of course, how that works is the 2 winners from Saturday will play on Sunday for the championship. So something a little bit different. You don't normally see back-to-back football games. But that's the way the league works, and that's what we're running with. So 7th grade was on a bye this week. They dressed out on Tuesday night when the Wildcats, the JBMS Wildcats, hosted Adrian. They win 50-6 and cap a 6-0 season. So that's a little bit exciting
for sure.
For next year. You got some freshmen coming there. Do you know anything about those guys?
A little bit, No, that's exciting to see.
So I walked out there, and I actually the first full game I got to stay and watch, and an impressive group there at the junior high level. So, all right. So a couple other events going on this week out there for week 9. Tell us what else is going on.
This is our pink out game. Recognize breast cancer. I know our booster club is selling shirts. Have been selling shirts. Typically they'll have a jar out there also. All money or all proceeds will go to the Benton County Cancer Society. That's something that we take a lot of pride in. We like to keep it local. And then obviously we have our tailgate going on. Hawthorne Bank, sponsoring that this week. Appreciate that. And then I think that's it. That's what I was telling our kids. Said
So now we just have a game.
Yeah, I said it's not senior night. It's not homecoming. I said, we can, nothing out of the ordinary on that front. So that's good.
Yeah. So the pink out, that is, Booster Club. They put the shirts out there, but 100% of those proceeds stay with the Benton County Cancer Society. And that money all stays in Benton County. It doesn't go nationwide to the American Cancer Society or anything. No. It stays right here in Benton County and helps those who need it. So, anyway, a big game coming up tonight. Wildcats looking for 8-1 as they host the Buffalo Bison. This is the regular season home finale. If you've not been out to Randy Maher Field or on the road to catch the Wildcats, tonight is the night to do it. It's going to be beautiful fall weather. Great for a football game. Again, Coach Boyer, thanks for joining us. I'm Adam Howe. Thanks for joining BCE TV. And I am going to the house.
This has been a BCE TV production. Thank you for watching.